Hey guys, it's Danny Bryant with United Country Property South. I've got my gator, I've got my 14.3 acre listing. What I want to do is take you on a tour of all the outside amenities of this property. Not a home tour of this video, but a tour of the barns and the special features that this property has to offer. Obviously, as you can see the house behind me, a couple key features about this property. It is 14.3 acres plus or minus in that range. It has 4 barns on the property. The exterior of this property is fenced. On the front, on what would be the north and the south side of the property, there is also fencing around the large pastures. Some of the fencing kind of in what we always call the barnyard area has been taken down. A lot of it was in worse shape, had a lot of wear and tear from the horses over the years. So for clarity and for honesty and for full disclosure, this is the property that I grew up on. This is my mom and stepfather's property that we have listed on the market. I don't think I can honestly and openly give you a tour of this property without telling you that. I have a lot of memories here. We moved here in 1996 and I lived here until I graduated high school in 2005. So a lot of memories here, and it's going to be hard to describe and talk about this property not in a real life scenario. So I just want to be open about that and honest about that first thing in this video. We do have it listed. It is on the market. All the links are below for all the most recent up-to-date information on that. So again, little over 14 acres, 4 barns on the property. We're not talking about the house in this video, so we ain't even gonna mention it, but we have 4 barns. We'll talk about the specifics of all those barns when we get up there. And like I said, for my entire life, and as long as they lived here, this was a working horse farm. Horses were bred, horses were raised, horses were sold, horses were bought. At one point, there was over 60 horses on this property between them and my uncle, who also lived on the bottom side of this property. We'll get to that later. So let's go check it out. All right, stop one of our property tour. We have a 16 by 48, a 60 by 34, 2 barns sitting right here. The one on my right, your left, is obviously poured concrete, currently has a boat stored in it. It was built for a horse trailer storage. You could use it for whatever you want. It is poured concrete, it is framed most of the way up. On my left is a 7-stall horse barn, needs a little TLC, needs a little exterior work, but the bones are in great shape, and you could add more stalls if you wanted to. In the top, there's also a partially finished loft area that's currently used for storage. Seller is actively working to get these barns cleaned out, as well as the carport and the other barn up here. So these are just 2 of the barns that are available on the property, and let's move on to the carport area. While I'm moving the camera, I don't know how this is going to look, but funny story. For years and years, I was going to build an apartment in that loft and live in it. If you wanted to do that, you could, I guess. Now we move right over here to the 24 by 30 poured concrete. It's listed as a carport. It was a garage. There was a garage door. At some point, my uncle may or may not have hit the door with his truck and it was damaged beyond repair and just wasn't put back on. But either way, you could use it as a carport, you could use it as a shop, you could use it as whatever you want to use it as. I actually remember building this garage many years ago, put a lot of work into building this garage. And oddly enough, it was never really used as a garage that much. But you could use it for whatever you want to use it as. Like I said, it's 24 by 30, poured concrete, truss built, really well built garage carport, vinyl, metal roof to match the house. So let's move on to what we call the little barn. All right, over here, this is what we called the little barn my whole life. This barn was on the property when my family bought the property back in the early 90s. It's a 30 by 50, I believe. We had hay storage on one side. There are 2 stalls on it that could be used. This was mostly the food barn, storage barn, and things like that for us. The well tank and everything is located in the back right corner of this barn, so it is out of the weather. But this, like I said, this is what we always call the little barns. The oldest barn on the property was here, I know, in the early 90s. And then the big barn was built, and then the one that we're going to look at down the hill in just a little bit is what we always call down the hill on the south side of the property. And the concrete poured barn on the far side over there is the newest built barn on the property. Now, any good working horse farm is going to have these items. Here we have 2 tie posts, concrete poured around them. Obviously, I don't know that Clydesdale could pull these posts out of the ground. And behind me, as you can see back there, we have the wash rack. Poured concrete slab with 2 tie-off posts so you can wash your horses. Over my left shoulder is where the riding pen was. So you see it's a little depressed where the round pen, I'm sorry, for working the horses for years. And over my right shoulder is where the walker's set for the horses to get their exercise. So you do see a little bit of wear in the yard from where those things were located. But as I said, for 30 years, this was a working horse farm. So many horses have come through this property. Some spent their entire life here, and like I said, some of them bought, sold, and everything in between. So let's keep going and check out the rest of this property. Okay, so we've made it down to the south end of the property, barn number 4. It's a 26 by 36, 4-horse stall, horse barn. Your stalls are on all 4 corners of the barn, along with your food and hay storage walk-through area in the center. Just on the north side of the barn, you've got another small shed that you could use to store tack or feed or anything like that in as well. You've got 2 individual paddocks on both sides of this barn. I would say they're close to an acre each on both sides, with the fencing still fully surrounding them up right off the larger pasture that's on the south side of the home and the other barns. So this barn was actually built by my uncle. Cool feature of this property I'm going to show you in just a second, where he used to live right here. This is where my uncle kept his horses. And so obviously, as you can imagine, a horse farm for almost 30 years, just like the other barns, they get used, needs a little TLC. Structurally, it's in great shape. Very, very, very well built, well thought out, good layout down here for barn number 4. So let's spin the camera around, we'll back you up, and we'll take you right over here to the last 2 features that I think are just really special about this piece of property. All right, so what we have here, if you can see, I'm walking on concrete on both sides. We have 2 poured strips of concrete where a single wide trailer sat for many, many years. Same uncle that built that barn lived in this single wide trailer. So what's the benefit of that? The benefit is as you can see right over here, there is power all the way down here to the south end of this property, sitting right here ready to be served by Alabama Power, transformer and everything still on the pole. Honestly, You have a beautiful potential home site down here if you wanted to build a house down here and rent out the other one or anything like that. But there's also another usage for this little spot down here that I'm fixing to tell you about that I think the guys will appreciate. So there is septic down here. It's fed off the same large well that's up there in the barn, but it is individual septic. Like I said, pads already poured. Even if you wanted to do that and invest in another small single wide or something to put down here as a rental or family compound or whatever, this property is already set up to go ahead and have a lot of that work done to bring in, like I said, a trailer or build a home or whatever you may want down here. Power and water and septic is already down here on the south end of this property. Let's check out this last outdoor feature that I think most of the guys are gonna like. All right, so the last awesome feature about this 14.3 acres is right down here. Obviously, we're just to the south of where the fourth barn and everything like that is. When we moved here when I was a kid, this was just overgrown. It looked a lot like the stuff beside it. So years and years and years of cleaning and cows and goats and everything else have turned this into a beautiful spot down here. But what makes it awesome is about 3 weeks ago, I put a Tacticam on this tree right here behind me. And I'll show you some of the pictures of the deer I've gotten on camera. So down here on the south end of this property, your property line is right back here in the creek. You've got thick, thick, thick overgrown forest over here on one neighbor, along with planted pines and some more overgrown on your western side. And then on the south here, like I said, you got a marshy, swampy with creek and all that. So just a amazing funnel right through here. The pictures have been outstanding of the amount of deer that have come through here. Really big 8-point on camera here. I'll show you right now. And as an avid deer hunter myself, I never really got to hunt down here as a kid because we always had horses down here and stuff like that and things like that. But I will tell you, the largest whitetail I've ever seen on the hoof with my own eyes killed in the state of Alabama was killed about a mile from here. It was almost 20 years ago, but there are big deer in the area, really good 8-point on camera. And I can't only imagine what you could do with this little honey hole down here with a good year of prep and work and keeping some food here. There had not been food here. I think I poured corn out down here 4 years ago, maybe once, to get some pictures. So the corn that I put out down here a few weeks ago is the first thing that has been down here in years. But there's rubs and scrapes through here where the deer come through. There's heavy trails. So another awesome feature of this property is you can homestead it, you can hunt it, you can dang near almost fish it with as close as this water is down here. But it's just, man, it's try to maintain some professionalism, I guess, but it was a blessing to grow up here in a lot of ways, and a lot of memories made on this property. It's one of those things that, man, it's hard to be a part of this. It's hard to bring this to you and try to present it to you and offer it for sale for my family. But we've all, new chapters in all of our lives have been opened, and we've all kind of gone our ways. So it's I look forward to the next family that gets to buy this property and continue making those memories and continue improving, and maybe one day sending me a picture of a big old 8-point, 9-point, 10-point, whatever it may be that they harvest down here. So that's it. That's the exterior tour, the outside tour of this 14 acres, your 4 barns, you know, your mobile home site, your hunting possibilities, obviously all your pasture land and things like that. If I can answer any of your questions, if I can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to give me a call. It's Danny Bryan again, United Country Property South, 334-406-9982. Thank you, and God bless you.